Welcome back, my dears, and welcome to this lesson on building intuition. You may be wondering why we haven't discussed it yet. It's because I already know that you have a strong intuition. I know that because your intuition brought you here, to this course, to this point. And I also know that you are in the process of building your intuition stronger and stronger, and you probably have been for many years now. And the things you're working on in the course are really helping you to do that. So meditation, cacao ceremonies, journaling, spending time in nature, and even these magical events, going to conscious events, as well as the magical events that you have created for yourself and that I've created for you, all of these things are here to help you come even more in contact with your own intuition. And know that it will get stronger and stronger as you continue on this path. And you can trust it more and more. So how do you know the difference between ego, things you want, things you desire, and your intuition? Well, in my own personal life, I've found that actual, real, true intuition is often asking us to do something pretty uncomfortable. For example, when I was living in San Cristobal, I was there with a friend who was very intrigued in this workaway program that was actually a karma yogi program. And it actually sounded really cool. It included yoga, meditation classes, cacao ceremonies, and it was at a spiritual hostel. So in exchange for all of the beautiful learning and as well as hypnotherapy sessions, so in exchange for all of these beautiful things that you received, you would work at the hostel at the front desk for about 25 hours a week. And when she was telling me about this, I had been living the life of a digital nomad for about 5 years prior to this. I had been living the life of a digital nomad, and she was more living the volunteer lifestyle. So when she found this place, I was very excited for her. Actually, the two of us met in Playa del Carmen and decided to go to San Cristobal so she could check out this program, and it was a place I was thinking about going anyway, so I went with her. And I was often at home busy working on my business at the time, and she would come back from the meditation classes or the cacao ceremonies raving about this guy and how great he was and all this information he had and how much she was learning about meditation. And I thought it sounded really interesting and I wanted to go. However, the timing was in misalignment with the schedule of when I would be working. I believe at the time all of their events started at either noon or 11 a.m. And I found that I would always get into my most productive time period at work at 11 a.m. And so one day I just thought, I'll go once. We'll see how it goes. And I went, and I knew that was it. I had to keep going. I knew this was a teacher I needed to continue to learn from. Actually, at the time, he triggered me. His style of meditation was a style of meditation I wasn't used to, the dropping thoughts style. And it triggered me. that he thought it was the best way to meditate. And I didn't think there was a best way to meditate, though he argued it was the best and fastest way to meditate for enlightenment. And I didn't really have a good argument for that. So I started going to everything that they offered to the public. I made room for it and space for it in my work schedule. And after going for several weeks and speaking to the volunteers there and really liking them and feeling a kinship among them, I started getting this sneaking suspicion that I might end up joining the program. However, I really didn't want to join the program because it meant living in a hostel, which up until that point I had stayed in a hostel, I believe, a total of 3 nights in my entire life, maybe 4. And I didn't want to leave the comfortable 2-bedroom house with a fireplace that I had. It was so lovely and cozy and cushy, and that's what my life was usually like. I didn't want to leave that to be sharing a dorm room with 5 other people. And also, I wasn't sure how my business would be able to continue if I did that. And one day, in the cacao ceremony, from Spirit, from Source, my guides, I heard a very, very clear message. This is your next step. Just that, simply put. This is your next step. And when I heard that, my first reaction was, no, thank you, because I knew what it meant by this is your next step. It meant joining the Karma Yogi program, which was a 6-week-long program. And I thought, nope, I don't want to do that. I don't have any interest in living in a hostel and giving up all of my cozy joys that I already have and what's going to happen with my business. And I had a ton of resistance to it. And I was struggling and fighting with that internally. And I believe I even was crying. And as soon as I said, okay, I hear you, I just completely relaxed. And I knew that everything would be all right. And I wasn't sure how or when exactly this would happen, or if it would work out, if it would be possible, if I could work while doing this program, because it was a very intensive program, pretty all-encompassing, not a lot of extra time. Shortly after that, within a week or a few days, my business partner reached out to me and said, I'm out. I don't want to do this anymore. You have to decide if you want to run the business on your own or if you want to give up the business, if we're going to shut down the business. And at that point, I reached out to the woman who ran the program, who I was already starting to become friends with a crying voice note, explaining to her that I knew that I was meant to be in the program, whatever that would mean, and I didn't know if I'd be doing my business, and I was ready to do whatever it took. And at that point, I knew that I was at that place where I was ready to let go of everything I thought I know about who I am, who I was, ready to let go of that, to become the person I actually am, the person I'm meant to be, to step into my power. And in order to do so, it might feel a little bit like I'm taking a step back, though it ended up being a wonderful step forward in my journey. It was a beautiful, in a way, it was a beautiful beginning for me. It was a huge change of direction for me. And so obviously I joined the program, and I didn't stay for 6 weeks. I stayed for 4 months. After my program ended, I did what I already knew how to do. I helped them create a video educational series on how to run the hostel. And then I ended up following this teacher about a year later after that program ended for me, down to Guatemala so I could learn more from him. So that's what listening to intuition looks like, feels like, sounds like. It's often very uncomfortable, though it will take you to exactly where you need to be and give you everything you need. Not necessarily everything you want, but everything you need. And trusting in that voice and knowing that it has your highest and best interest in mind. With that, my dears, I'll see you in the next lesson.